If you normally draw your lips like this, here's a really simple way to make them look a lot more realistic. Start off with 2 parentheses, then put a bigger one in the middle and an even bigger one on the bottom, a V on the top, and then connect the line. And that's it. Now you're ready to add your details. Normally draw your clouds like this. Here's a simple tip that will make your clouds a lot more interesting. To some of the curves, add swirly shapes. Then layer some of the curves with varying sizes. Then at both ends, add a little wispy curve and make the bottoms flat. Then you can shade if you want to. You normally draw your flowers like this. Well, your doodles are about to get a whole lot better. Start with a circle and 6 little lines. Connect the lines with heart shapes. Make a bunch of little lines coming from the center. Add a leaf between every other petal, and it's easy as that. This is how you normally doodle a cactus. They're about to get a whole lot more interesting. Off with 2 slightly squiggly lines and add 2 more in the middle. Then add 2 more next to the first ones. Add a crown and slightly squiggly arms, and repeat the first couple steps. A bunch of V's and X's for the spikes. You normally draw your cats like this. Well, your doodles are about to get a whole lot more interesting. Start with 2 triangles and connect them with a line. Connect the other ends with an even bigger triangle. Tiny heart with a line for the nose. 2 sideways D's for the eyes. Lines inside. 3 lines on both sides of the nose for whiskers. You normally draw your puppies like this. Well, your doodles are about to get a whole lot cuter. 2 lines, then connect them. Add 2 more lines and have the edges curve inwards. Connect them with a curved rectangular shape. 2 big circles, 1 little circle. These lines inside. And for the paws, add a curve with 3 ridges on the bottom. You normally doodle your roses like this. Well, they're about to get a whole lot more realistic. Start with a spiral like this. Add lines coming down from the sides. Now double the curve on the front of the spirals. 2 more lines on the sides. Let them curve inwards. Add a stem, leaves, and some thorns. Maybe even some details. You normally draw your eyebrows like any of these, then use these steps to make them look a lot more realistic. Start off with a very light and general outline, then have the hair growing in these directions. Use very light pressure when making each hair. Use gradually more pressure and more hair as you get to the end. This is how you normally draw your donuts? Well, they're about to get a whole lot better. Start off with a big circle and a small circle in the middle. A squiggly line going around the outer edge. Make the outer part light brown. Color the inner part whatever color you want. Rainbow sprinkles and highlights and shadows. A really easy doodle idea that anybody can do. Start with 2 straight lines and then have a bunch of straight lines of different sizes coming from the side. Add a bunch of circles or different shapes in the middle. Then connect the straight lines with curvy lines. Draw a line through where the 2 types of lines meet. Well done! If this is how you normally draw your braids, this will make them look a lot more realistic. Start off with a heart and then make a chain of hearts overlapping each other. Bring a curvy line down the center of each one, then add your shading. Finish it off with the ponytail at the top and the leftover hair at the bottom. Try this really easy and cute doodle idea. Make a string of dots. Then just connect each dot with a bunch of lines like this. The more lines, the better. Make each shape that you connect it with just slightly different from the rest. When you're done, you're left with this really cool effect. Normally draw your curls like this. Well, this easy method will make them a lot more realistic. Draw a bunch of slanted S's that get smaller as you go down. Add a smaller second S on top of each one. Extend the top and the bottom part of the first S's inwards. Then shade. This diagram I made shows you how. Finish. You want to learn how to draw realistic eyelashes? Well, perfect, because I'm going to teach you. If you normally draw them like this, in straight lines, going in many directions or just one direction, then using these tips will make them so much more realistic. Remember that the eye is a ball. This causes the eyelid to take the shape of a ball as well, and it causes the eyelashes to fan out when you're looking at them head on. This is why the eyelashes typically point in these directions. Instead of drawing them as straight lines, I like to think of them as an elongated comma. Instead of using thick eyelashes, use clusters of a bunch of thin ones. And remember that eyelashes typically get thinner the closer you get to the inner corner. And lastly, these are general tips. No 2 eyes are the same, and you can always use your own eye or a photo as reference. Is this how you normally doodle your mushrooms? Well, they're about to get way cooler. Start off with a semicircle and then leave a hole in the middle. Add another semicircle on top like this. 2 squiggly lines for the stem and a bunch of skinny lines coming to the center. Different size circles, and shading is optional. You normally doodle your flowers like this. Well, they're about to get a whole lot more interesting. Start with a circle and 4 V's, 4 more in between, and make a petal shape on each of them. Color in between where the V's are, and then make a bunch of little lines coming from the top of each petal. And then add leaves in between each one. Procreate tutorial to try out clownfishes and see if they're your vibe. Map out where the orange is. Really easy and simple. Avoid where the white stripes are. Then using a light yellowish orange, map out where all the highlights are. I recommend using a picture. Highlights, of course, are typically at the top of the fish. Then, honey, blend it out. Blend, 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 blend. You want a nice, clean gradient. Clean, nice gradient. I'm not here to tell you how to do your art style, but what I am here to tell you to do is blend, 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 blend. You want to blend, trust me, it's just better. Now add some shadows. These are burnt orange colors, and for the really dark parts, a dark red. Blend those out, baby, you already know. Add some details to the face. They're kind of hard to explain. Better with trial and error, but just blend, honey. You're not going to want to blend too much on the face, though. There's some harsh lines. The eyes are kind of like gaping black holes with burnt orange shadowing underneath. Then, on the bottom of the white line, add like a grayish blue color. Blend that baby out and then add the black lines and you're good. If you can write, you can draw an elephant. Draw a C, flip the page, another C, flip the page, C, 2 parentheses, a V, flip the page, a U, a 7, an S, a V, an L, parentheses, lowercase l, a dash, a period. You have an elephant! Is this the way that you normally draw seashells? Then they're about to get a whole lot better. Start with this curvy shape and then a little V coming off of it like this. Connect the lines with the curve and add a bunch of scalloped lines to get smaller as they go up. Like downwards facing lines coming from the ridges. Connect with the scalloped lines. This the way that you normally draw smoke. Then try this to make it a whole lot more interesting. With 2 irregular curvy lines that are connected to each other, add another one lightly inside of that. Then add a bunch of twisty shadows to it. You are going to learn how to draw some fancy strappy high heels on Procreate. Start off with a skin-colored straight line, and have another line tapering into it. The tapered line taper outwards at the end. Then add an arch and some toes. This, of course, is going to be your foot. Add a straight line connecting the 2 lines. Now fill it in with color. Alpha lock the layer, and then on the edges add a color that's a couple of shades darker. And in the center where the highlights are, add one that's a couple of shades lighter. Then blend it out, baby. I'm using a taupe color, making the straps. These are just crisscrossed. Worry about the edges because you can always erase them. Add the bottom strap that covers the toes, and connect the other straps to it. Add a little loop on the ankle. Outline the underneath of the bottom of the foot. I don't want to hear any weird feet comments. Add a layer underneath for the part of the shoe that's underneath the toes. Then add the platform. The chunky heel is just 2 lines. Now alpha lock that layer. And now you can add the strap shadows and blend them out, baby. Optional, but I made them red bottoms because we're bougie over here. This is how you normally draw butterflies. They're about to get a whole lot better. Start off with 2 curved lines. On both sides, add 3 little ridges and have them meet in the middle. Underneath, add 3 more ridges on both sides. A straight line going up. And for the body, it's a dot and a line. You're ready to decorate the butterfly. Is this the way that you normally draw boba? Well, stop it right there. That's a crime. You have to draw any lips. 2 little baby lines. Another curvy line. 2 lines that taper. And another curvy line, 2 little baby lines again, and another curvy line, and another curvy line, and another ellipse, and then 2 straight lines, and then a little tiny ellipse, and another one, and erase that part. Put a layer underneath it, and then choose your color that you want the boba, and have add a lighter color to show the highlights of the liquid. And baby, you gotta choose a straw color. Now add a bunch of dark, ominous circles. A little bit of highlights, some darker ones in the back. Add a new layer, and completely cover all the boba. And now go over here and change your opacity. And then this part is where it gets crazy. Erase. And the boba would be hitting the walls of the cup. Well, this is the way that you normally draw flowers. Well, this will make them a whole lot more interesting. Draw a circle and 8 little dots. Connect each one with a loop and add a bunch of little lines inside of each of them. 8 little heart shapes, a dot in each and a bunch of little lines. And then add 2 rows of 8 leaves. This is the way that you normally draw braids. Well, then do this to make them look a lot more realistic. Start with a leaf shape and add another one going in the opposite direction. Layer them on top of each other and make them progressively smaller as you go down. Finally, fill in the empty spaces and add details. You are still drawing your bunnies like this. It is time to step it up a notch, girly. Start with a curve, another curve, another curve, a straight line, another curve, and another curve, and another curve. Some shading, a J, a dot, a line, a semicircle. And that's it. Super cute. This is how you always draw cactuses. Try this instead as an alternative. Draw a semicircle and layer smaller ones coming off the side and going upwards. Add a cylinder on top of another cylinder for the pot. Add flowers on top, lines going down the center, and add your spikes. Of course, if you normally draw daisies like this, try this for an alternative. Draw 3 yellow dots. On the border, add 6 or 7 evenly spaced dots. Connect them with long, skinny petals, and layer some behind each of them. Just add some light lines going down the center of each. Absolutely. If this is how you normally draw butterflies, try this for an alternative. Make an upside down V and draw a body in the middle. Add 2 round lines that connect to the bottom of the body. Connect a curvy shape like this to the top of the body. Make the outlines dark. Now just add veins and antennas and color it in. Of course, I'd love to show you how to draw a sunflower. Take a yellow marker and start with a circle and make a bunch of petal shapes off of it. Then take a green marker and make a stem and some leaves, and then use a darker green to create shadows on one side of the leaves and the stem. Then take a pen and make a circle in the center of the flower. Around the inside of the circle, make 2 rows of really tiny circles. Then fill in the rest of it with your pen. Now it's time to create the petals, which are really skinny at the base. Again, looking at a photo reference can really help you with this. Once you're finished with making the petals, make the base of them orange. Fill in all the tiny little gaps with your pen. Finally, add a bunch of skinny lines going through each petal. I would love to do a sun. Normally draw suns like this. Try this for an alternative. Draw a circle inside of another circle, and then on the outside, make 8 evenly spaced tick marks. Extend them into even lines and then make triangles out of them. And add wavy rays in between. And shading is optional. If you love the sun and the moon, this is how you can draw them together. Draw a circle and then make a curve in the middle like this. Add a side profile of a face coming off the curve and then add a semicircle in the middle. Divide it into 8 even sections and then add sun rays coming off of each section. And outline with a pen. Koi fish, let's draw one. First, you're going to start off with a small, long oval, and that's going to be its mouth. Then draw a long S and a long curve, and that's going to be the body. Then draw the dorsal fin. Then draw the pectoral fins, which are sort of just like petals. And all their fins are very wispy, including the tail fin, which as you can see here, I just made a little wispy shape. Add some small lines on the base of every fin for definition. Then give it some eyes and some spots, and their spots are sort of like a cow pattern. Now this is the fun part. Give it some scales, add some whiskers, color it in, and that's how you draw eggs. Yes, I love drawing snakes. Start with a little egg and a little line coming off of it, then a squiggly line like this. Then create parallel lines going on both sides of that line. Then all you have to do is erase the initial line. Then you're ready to add the scales and all the details.